Hello, my name is Alan G. Davison, and I think it's time for a bit of a break from all my ranting and talking about, my own stories and just other things, and actually just sort of sitting back and actually telling you an interesting story. Not too long, I went to an event called the Green Pen Writers Convention up in Frankenmuth. I've actually mentioned this at least once before, and I went up there and I got a lot of information, and it was really good information. But that's going to be for another day. I don't really think I'd be able to really do that sort of information justice, and I don't really want to steer anyone wrong. But the Saturday before the last day, we got a little message that one of the guys who actually did a lot of speaking up there, he was a really interesting guy. He was going to actually be holding a breakfast, and I was kind of like, wow, this would be really good information and stuff like that, and just being able to talk to him would be pretty cool. But, it's freaking so early in the morning. It's a bit of a drive up there to begin with. I mean, it's Frankenmuth. I didn't live close enough that it would be a decent, maybe half-hour trip. But, I lived close enough that actually getting a hotel up there would be a complete and total waste of money. I mean, it would have been freaking expensive. Those hotels up there are not something to spit at, especially if they even think there's a convention going on or something like that. I mean, it was like $200 and something, and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Oh crap, I shouldn't have sweared. I'm gonna have to rate this M just because I said that. Oh, Boulder Dash. Anyway, deciding that my own need for sleep could have to wait, and I decided this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I went up there, and we ended up basically chatting around and stuff like that, and if anybody's actually realized, I do love to talk, even if it's to nobody in particular. I'm talking to my laptop right now, so that just goes to show how much I, as an author who writes, loves to talk. I mean, wind me up and I'll probably talk about anything. That's the worst part, is that you have no idea how bad it is when I'm around somebody and I want to talk about my book and I don't have that actual part written down, but I still want to tell you about it. I mean, I'd be a terrible author if I ever actually became even semi-successful. They would have to lock me up until the book was written and taken and published out, and then they would release me out into the wild and they would let me talk about it, but then they'd have to chain me back up because there was a sequel or something like that, because they would know that I would spoil it somehow. Yeah. Anyway, I got up there and I checked my wallet and I saw 20 in there, and I was like, okay, cool, I got a 20 in I'm good, I can get whatever the heck I want for breakfast. So I sit down and I started talking to people, and if there's anything that I, for some reason, am capable of getting away with, is taking myself into a hole when it comes to women. I don't know how I can do it. I don't know how I can get away with it. I did it with the guy's wife somehow, is that I actually told her she was big, and I was like, no, that's not what I meant. I was like really embarrassed, and I was turning red at this point, and I was kind of like, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I had to think for a moment. I'm like, no, you're larger. You demand attention. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. That's kind of how I actually said it, to be honest, which is kind of funny, is that that's exactly how I said it. She seemed to accept this, and she sort of nodded and stuff, and I think she understood what I was going through, but the poor 20-year-old is incapable of talking to women despite the fact that he's fucking engaged. Oh, man. I ended up doing the exact same thing while at the dinner and stuff like that, and I says, you can spin anything into good publicity, whether you're a young author or you're an old author. It's like, if you're 80-something years old, you could, no, wait, I didn't say 80. I said 90 years old. You can still be, centered, because the idea that, this person, when she was 90 years old, is capable of actually writing a book, and if she can do it, you can too. And I pegged the poor lady to my left's age on the square, and the guy was just laughing because he realized I'd literally dug myself into a hole with women twice. And I didn't get yelled at, I didn't get screamed at, I didn't get slapped or anything like that. I got out unscathed. Some miracle by chance, is that I'm guessing that my nervousness and my embarrassment kind of makes me endearing in some way, shape. I don't know. I'm just weird, I guess. I can get away with this crap. Anyway, I don't recommend actually doing that, by the way. Do not actually try that in real life. It was completely and totally accidental on my part, but she seemed to shrug it off. But I got up there, and I had my food I'd eaten and stuff like that, and I was talking to the other people around me and stuff, being a social animal, which for some strange, bizarre reason, I'm not a very social animal. I hide inside of my bedroom most of the time, away from the rest of the world, get me in front of people, and I won't shut up. It's kind of embarrassing, actually. I open up my wallet, and there's no $20 bill in there. I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I was so embarrassed, because I was like, I'm looking around. I'm at a restaurant. I had a $15 meal, more or less. It was a buffet, and I have no money on me. And I was like, oh, no. Nothing. Not a single... Not nearly enough. I had like maybe a couple of singles. I have no credit cards. I don't like credit cards. No checks. No alternative sums of money. And I was like, I could have sworn I had a 20 in my wallet. And oh, for the love of God, thank you so much for the people who were around me at that table. Is that she was actually willing to help me out and actually give me about 20, give me enough money, and I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I have to admit, if I ever see that woman again, I actually have her name written down in my notebook that I actually got there. I feel so ashamed of myself. I can never remember anybody's names. I would be a terrible boss. I would have nobody idea. Everybody would be looking at me and they'd be like, you are a jerk. You don't remember any of your employees' names. You are a terrible employer. And I'd be like, yes, I know. I'd be a terrible money giver, since I don't know, I'm just weird. I don't know why anybody would ever even want to think of working with me. And they'd be just sort of looking at me like, is this guy for fucking real, or is he just messing with me? There, I just said it again. Dang it, I cannot control my curse words. I am so freaking pathetic. It's pathetic. Anyway, that's sort of my funny story for that whole event. And I have to admit, it was an interesting experience, and I would totally recommend anybody to go over there, but if you do go there, make sure you carry a little bit of extra cash, because you never know when a situation is going to pop up where you might need a spare 20. No, brother. That was embarrassing. I can't believe I'm actually telling you people this story. Maybe I just want to be entertaining. That's just the storyteller in me, I suppose. Oh, and on a side note, not necessarily direct to the actual story itself, is that I'm working on a new story. It's called Strangers That You Meet. It's a good story. It's not going to be too very long. I'm already a good portion of the way through it, even though it's only gotten 8 chapters written down. And I've decided to actually take a cue from some of the other people out there, and I plan on actually creating a audiobook using other voice actors. Now, mind you, it's a first-person story, so whoever actually gets the lead role is going to be doing an awful lot of talking. I might actually just do it myself, since I seem to be talking an awful lot, and I think that would actually work better. And then just sort of having everybody else just do sort of side stuff. I'm gonna think about it. I always like to think about things like that, because I'm very wishy-washy, and I like to change my mind. But I do plan on actually turning this into an audio story. But just, something to actually do and stuff like that. And, maybe if I ever get the opportunity, I'll go back and actually do The Blessed. If I actually keep it that way. I've had so many problems with the whole, self-publishing company thing. Trust me, that is a whole bag of worms. Trust me, if you can go the traditional route, it will save you a lot of trouble. Take it from my experience and stuff like that, is that it is a pain in the ass. Alright, if I'm going to swear, I might as well just go out. It really is. I mean, they don't really do a whole... Another topic entirely. But like I said, keep your mind out. It's a horror story. I'm made up about a little over 10 characters. Not exact number. I've got a couple of different people that I'm going to actually need. 3 women and, a decent group of guys. Maybe about 11 or so guys. Yeah, 11 guys, 3 women, that'd be about 15 characters, and maybe one too many guys more than I need, but, you never know. People change their mind, people screw up, and stuff like that, it's just how it works. But I am planning on actually doing that for that one at the very least, simply for the fact that, it would be good to do, and I wouldn't mind actually, spreading out a little bit. Because, let's face it, even though I'm a story writer because that's just how I have to be. I can't draw. I can't really do anything with all that visual software and stuff like that. I can't. I would love to write stories. I'd like to draw stories. I'd like to draw comic books and all other manner of things. But for now, I'm limited by the resources that I have and the talents that I'm capable of influencing. So, if anybody's actually interested in that, leave a slight comment. If I ever actually get everything together, get the story written and stuff like that, I will be looking out for people. And so, just put a comment back, and I'll come back to this chapter, this actual thing, and see if anybody's actually interested in doing it. Well, that's going to be it for this little story. Man, I really do get off topic a lot. Anyway, this is Alan G. Davison signing off.